Welcome to the Technology Toolbox. We are going to look at age tech tools to help support elders and their families. That is the purpose of our conversation today. We're going to look at why are age tech tools important, in what situations can age tech help, and what is in the age tech toolbox. And then finally, how can a family evaluate their options? So let's start with why are age tech tools even important? And when I say age tech, what I mean is tools that have been designed to help older people and their families, older people and those who care for them. If you happen to be a family member here today, many of these tools are designed specifically for you as you are caring for someone in your life. If you're a professional and you are involved in the care space in some way, these are tools that we all need to know as professionals. Maybe you're a referral placement agency. Maybe you are a professional guardian or an attorney. Your role is to guide family members through the process. And so knowing the tools that are out there can sometimes help you make much better recommendations to families, because a lot of times if we don't know the tools that are out there, what happens is we ask families or advise families to do the kind of the nuclear options because we haven't looked at all the other options before we get to option Z. And so part of today is to help both family members as well as professionals just understand what's out there, think about them in a more reasoned way, and be able to make good decisions. So I want to ask a question, though, if you mind putting in the chat, what are situations you commonly deal with right now? Whether it is you are a professional or a family member, think about an older person in your life or clients in your life. What are some situations you're dealing with in care, in working with someone that just seem to pop up a lot? If you put that in the chat, that would help me just get a sense of who's here, kind of what's on your mind, what are the things you're trying to solve. So in the chat, please answer that question. What are some common situations you're dealing with right now? Okay, let's say a few in the chat. I need a few in the chat to give me some ideas of where people are at. What are some situations? Okay, being a caregiver, maybe the challenge of the time it takes to be a caregiver. Any other situations you're dealing with? You're dealing with incontinence issues in the home? Are you dealing with someone who's leaving the house at night? Are you dealing with someone who's not eating? Someone who has physical problems that are maybe making it hard for them to get in and out of a chair, in and out of a car? Do you have clients that you work with? Do you have a lot of memory care clients? Do you have a lot of clients who can't afford to live anywhere? What are some of the situations that bring you here today? So as those come in, I'm going to move to the next slide. Love to hear kind of what's bringing you here today. What might be the cost of not integrating age tech? And Anita, thank you. Assisting with ADLs is another key issue Anita is facing, dealing with ADLs. Like, how do I help mom get ready in the morning? How do I help her just feed herself? How do I help her get dressed? That's a big one that can take a lot of time. So now we're going to look at what might be the cost of not integrating age tech. So these are some of the things that can happen if we're not using age tech appropriately as we recommend care to our clients or as we think about a plan for our own parents or a spouse. The first one is excess disability, meaning sometimes if we're not using the tools that are now available, someone can act and live more disabled than they really are. So someone could, for instance, if we're not using the right tools for them to feed themselves, they may actually not be able to feed themselves. And so they become more disabled than they really are. If we use the right age tech tools, certain special types of spoons and forks, et cetera, that can help someone with tremors feed themselves, they will have less disability than they would if we didn't use the age tech. So excess disability refers to people living more disabled than they really need to be. High costs of care. A lot of times someone is living with challenging situations, and so we choose an option for them that is actually really expensive. Maybe it's like paying for a nursing home out of pocket or something, right? When we really didn't need to do that if we used age tech appropriately. The third one is low self-esteem. Sometimes if we're not using age tech and there's all these people that are helping the person, if we're relying on humans to do all the work and serve that older person can feel like they're not doing very much, that they're not as respected. They may lose their dignity. Whereas if we gave them the right tool and they could take care of themselves a little bit better, they may feel a lot more dignified. Number 4 is disconnection from relationships. So this is the result of not using age tech can be an older person living home alone, not using great tools that are out there, and they're not visiting with their family. They're not visiting with their friends. They're not traveling the world, etc. Where they could, they were using age tech. And so they become more isolated than they need to be. Moving unnecessarily is the 5th potential cost of not using age tech tools. I'm moving to a memory care when I really could live in assisted living just fine. I'm moving to hospice when maybe a hospice center when I probably could be at home. I'm moving from my home to an assisted living, and maybe I'm not ready for that. Maybe I don't need that. You may move unnecessarily if you don't implement the tools that you need to help you live where you are well. And then the last one is iatrogenic death. This means you die because of the healthcare setting that you're in. Generally, the further along you move down the healthcare continuum, the greater your risk is of dying, not from what you went into that healthcare system for, but simply because you're in the healthcare system, you get sick, you get some sort of damage to your body that wouldn't have happened if you had been there. So again, we always want to keep people out of the healthcare system as long as possible. So these age tech tools help. Now, I will say, when I say age tech tools, we're going to focus today on things that have kind of a tech component to them, but I want to acknowledge that there are a lot of non-tech tools that are just as helpful, and that's a totally different presentation. And these are tools like, for instance, I just broke a leg, and when I broke a leg, I found out about a new tool that lets me do hands-free while walking with a crutch. Right? It's a tool. It's not a technology tool. It's just some bars and just some pads, but it allows me to do dishes and to help keep feeding my family while I have one leg. That's not a tech tool, and we're not going to talk about those today. But if you're interested, at the end, you'll have my contact information. I can always get you some great resources where you can learn about all the non-tech tools that occupational therapists recommend that can help people carry coffee, make their bed, get in and out of a car, things that are really, really just as important as all the age tech tools I'm talking about today. All right. What situations can age tech help with? All right. Let's think about that. Age tech can help someone live independently wherever they call home. It can help me support my parent at home alone. It can help me reduce the amount of home care I need, and it can help us stay connected and fully alive. Those are things that age tech can help with. Things that age tech is not ready for. I'm a danger to myself. So if you're caring for someone who's a danger to themselves, most age tech is not reliable enough to help that person be safe at home for extended periods of time. There's some tools that help, like we're going to talk about maybe preventing a fire if someone leaves the stove on, some things like that this can help with. But in general, if I'm a danger to myself, age tech is not the substitute for humans being a part of things. And I cannot follow verbal cues. A lot of age tech, especially if the elder lives alone a lot of the time, they still need someone to be able to call them and say, hey, you need to plug that in, right? Hey, you need to move it to yourself or something, right? There may be some verbal cues that this person needs to follow to interact with this tool. And then there's no one that can help me manage the technology. If the older person is like alone in a state, they have no family, no friends, are totally alone, family flies in 4 times a year, age tech probably is not enough to help them survive well. My name is Benjamin Surmi. I'm a social gerontologist, and I am a director of culture for Koelsch Communities. That's my contact information, and I'm sure Catherine will make sure that's available in the slide deck afterwards and other information. But you're welcome to take a screenshot of that if you need to text me or email me after this. While that's still up, I just want to shout out to a few people who put in the chat. One person wrote, "I'm feeling overwhelmed managing my life, retired, and my parents who live with me," right? So it's overwhelming to try to care for other people at the same time that maybe you're needing to either care for yourself or start doing some of the things that you've planned for your life to be able to do. Another person writes, "Husband is physically limited, cannot stand or walk much, can't remember how to use the TV remote, can't see well, can't do small puzzles or word finds like used to, very bored, lots of anxiety from the boredom, researching games activities he can enjoy." That's a really, really challenging situation, is to find those things that someone can do with the various disabilities that they have. And feel free to reach out to me, because what we talk about today probably won't get into the games and activities side of things, but I may have some tools that could potentially help you if we talk. All right. I work for this family, the Koelsch family. Very, very thankful to work for them. Their family has been for about 65 years building retirement communities like this, memory care and assisted livings that just are really special places. I get to run Koelsch Innovation Lab for them, where we test all kinds of products like or services like making purees that actually look like real food, which has been a great thing. We also implemented Eversound, which is a tool that helps elders hear everything that people are talking to them about, so they don't have to do their programs in silence or not being able to hear what's going on. And this fall prevention tool where 5-10 minutes a day, elders are able to cut their fall risks by like 400%. It's insane. So love doing that. Zinnia TV, this might help my friend Valerie. This is a cool tool that we've been piloting. It's a TV program that is specifically for people with some sort of memory loss or cognitive challenges. And maybe your husband doesn't have that, but it's really thoughtful TV programming that is specific for someone who's having cognitive challenges. A lot of reminiscing, a lot of immersive experiences, no commercials, nothing frightening, very easy to understand. So anyway, that might be worth checking out, Zinnia TV. What is in the Age Tech Toolbox? Okay, so I like to arrange the 400 or 500 tools out there right now into several drawers of a toolbox. Better body, safe life, friendship, getting around, being at home, and then being well cared for. So I'm going to break the tools that I share up today, and I'm only going to touch on like 25 tools, 50 tools. I'm not going to touch on all 500, but these are the tools that I organize them in. These are the drawers I organize them in, because otherwise it gets so confusing. It's like, what tools should I look at any given moment? So we'll look at Better Body. These are tools that help my body do better than it would without the technology. Right? As I age, as I have different disabilities, my body starts to have some challenges. So what are tools I can use? So the first group of tools involves better mobility. In the old days, we just had those massive electric chairs that take cranes to get in and out of a car and like destroy your house and destroy the hotel and destroy the apartment, right? Well, now there's a whole new class of mobility tools that like they can package up in the size of a suitcase. You don't need a crane to move it in and out of your car anymore. You can go in and out very easily into different settings, right? I can go into a restaurant and just pull right up, and I don't need to worry about, well, how am I going to get into the restaurant? And is it going to be a big deal? Is it going to be hard on everybody, right? These tools are just making it very easy for people who have mobility challenges to get around in tight spaces and get through cities and get through travel much better than we used to. So that's a whole new class of tools. Seismic powered clothing. These are clothing that really make the body stronger and help deal with pain. It's undergarments that have various electrically charged pieces of equipment on them that help the body deal with back pain, help the body be stronger and be able to move through life a little bit better. I'm gonna scoot forward past this video. Basically, it helps people be able to be themselves a little bit longer when they have lower back pain and they have some weakening of the muscles that help them stay upright and be able to walk for longer periods of time. Liftware, this is a tool that helps helps someone who has tremors be able to keep feeding themselves. As you can see, no matter which direction the hand moves, the spoon stays level. So someone who's having trouble feeding themselves is able to feed themselves better because this kind of tool helps balance out their spoon or their fork so they can feed themselves well.
We started with empowering our users to once again feed themselves with ease. The Liftware Level is an electronic handle that recognizes what position your hand is in at all times and works to counteract any unwanted movements so that you can relax and enjoy the company of those around you instead of worrying about the task at hand. The Liftware Level starter kit includes the leveling handle with a hand strap, a soup spoon attachment, and a charging cord. Charging the Level is easy. Simply plug the charging cord into a USB outlet, remove the attachment on the handle, and connect the handle to the cord.
This device helps this other device here, this special glove. What it does is it helps with all kinds of things your hands need to do. The last device helped with eating specifically. This device helps you write better, pick up things better, drive better, right? Do things that you need to do with your hand because it balances out, stops that tremor. You can see a quick example here. That's without the glove. And then this is with the glove. You can see the huge difference that it made to that gentleman. The S3 balance tool, like I shared earlier, this is available not just for communities like ours. We have 43 senior living communities around the country, so we do big purchases of them, but they're also available for the home as well. And basically this tool, just 5 to 10 minutes a day of standing near it, lifting one leg, lifting the other, lifting hands above it with both feet on the ground, just 10 seconds at a time, over 5 to 10 minutes a day, radically reduces falls. We know of people who they don't need to use their walker anymore. They can use a cane, or they got rid of their cane, or people that no one thought could stand up are standing up now on their own, right? This tool is pretty impressive. It's not really an age tech tool, and that it's not really much technology involved, but it is an incredible tool that can make a big difference for an older person who has any sort of balance issue. Eversound, this is not necessarily available in the home market, but there's tools similar to it, like the Pocket Talker, that basically a lot of older folks who have trouble with hearing aids kind of get left out of the hearing improvement planning, right? And tools like Eversound, tools like the Pocket Talker, like this, what they do is they just go over the ears and they amplify the sound that that older person wants. And so it's very, very helpful for someone who may be struggling to integrate hearing aids into their life, or maybe they have hearing aids, but they're just not working the way they need them to. We know that hearing loss is, you're at least 50% more likely to have dementia if you have hearing loss. So there's a strong incentive to try to deal with the challenges of hearing loss early on rather than waiting until it's too late. This is a tool that they're glasses. These glasses have this little tiny camera, and you wear these glasses and you're able to ask it questions like, what's in front of me? And it will tell you, well, there's one door to your left, or there's a stop sign in front of you. So it can walk you through what you're seeing. It can tell you in your ear, because there's just a tiny speaker that speaks into your ear. So the camera is helping navigate the world. You're able to talk to the camera, and the camera talks to you, and it will tell you who you're looking at. If you've met that person, or you have met this person before, it will remember who that person is, facial recognition, tell you who you're looking at so you're not confused when you talk to someone. It can read to you. You can be looking at the newspaper, ask it to read you something. You can look at a sign, ask it to read it to you so you can navigate your world a little bit better when you have poor vision. So now, again, there's lots of tools in that space. And we could talk about that all day, but I want to move on to safe life. So these are things that help us live a little bit safer at home. Here's a device that helps you if you fall, and it helps you avoid breaking a hip. So that's the Tango belt. And as you saw, it's basically airbag for your body. And as most of you know, one fall that breaks your hip can cost you your life savings, literally. You may never be able to go home again. You may have to leave your home and never, ever return. And so it is a little pricey. It's about $1,500. It's a little belt that just goes around. You wear it like any other belt, but it's monitoring. And if you fall, it's going to pop out, potentially save you $500,000 in care costs. So it's potentially a really wise investment. That's what it looks like. So it's a little bulkier than your normal belt. But if your loved one is someone that's prone to falling and could potentially change their life and yours, especially if you're the caregiver, now you're going to have to help this person bathe in bed and help this person go to the bathroom in bed and all those things. You know, a little bit of fashion, a little bit of fashion difference might be worth it. This is a tool that is designed to help you kind of keep track of things related to an older person who doesn't like lots of invasive health testing, let's say. So it's just a toilet seat, but it is monitoring for diarrhea, dehydration, IBD, all kinds of wellness markers, and letting the family know. There's another one that actually dips into the toilet, and it also can tell you if you've got a urinary tract infection, if you're constipated, if you have cancer. So there's some really fun things happening in the sensor space to try to make keeping track of someone's health less invasive. It's not have to poke you with a needle and you got to put something on your body, but it's something that's just monitoring passively, and you forget that it's monitoring your health. Siren socks are also kind of like this. These are socks that are for diabetics to see whether they're at risk of an ulcer. It's trying to track down the wounds and ulcers before they ever happen, and it monitors nurses right away if it looks like there may be certain like the skin is changing in its temperature. And so it's monitoring the temperature of the skin. So it's able to detect the forming of ulcers before they actually happen. There's a whole other group of tools that are monitors to help someone who's wandering away from home, getting lost, walking out away, driving away, and we may not know where they are. They may get lost. We may need to track them somehow. Some of these also track for falls. So I'm just going to basically show you the pictures of some of them because there's so many that we could do a whole presentation just on the differences of these alone, because some will text you if the loved one walks out of the house or out of the block. Some will show you a map. Some will give you a ping. Some will help you track them after the fact. Some will help you with a fall. Some will let you talk to the loved one remotely. They all do a little bit different things, but as you can see, they're all becoming a little bit less intrusive than the old-fashioned giant necklaces that we had to wear with these big old things tracking us, hanging across our neck. A lot of older people don't want to wear them. And so these are watches, right? These are watches. They're much more friendly to fashion. They're much more friendly to an older person feeling like they're not different than everybody else. Lots of different kinds of tools. Some are being used for kids with autism as well. And some look like necklaces, right? They don't even look like a old-fashioned pendant or watch at all. They're just a necklace. GPS soles. These are for someone who they will never remember to put on a watch, but they have to put the shoes on to go outside, right? And so you put these soles in their shoes and you're able to keep track of where they are. This is a tiny little device that can be slipped into a jacket, into a purse, can be sewed into a piece of clothing, right? And it's able to help track where that article goes. So if it's something the elder uses a lot, you're able to keep an eye on them, even if they really will forget anything that you give them. Okay, I want to go to Eversafe now. So Eversafe is a tool to help monitor financial safety, right? So this is going to help with scams, fraud, and identity theft. It helps the family stay alert on all the accounts that this older person is involved in without the family necessarily having the power to withdraw money and things like that. It just lets the family keep an eye on anything that might be fraudulent. So the older person may be more willing to let the family participate because they know the family won't necessarily have access to just withdraw money. But it's giving the family the alerts that they need to know what's going on. And it's using AI to say, wait a second, they just paid their rent twice. Like, what's going on here? Oh, they never do wire transfers. There was a wire transfer. And Careful is another tool, very similar, that is helping the family analyze what's going on with mom's transactions. Oh, there was $1,000 pulled out of an ATM machine. That's odd. You can also kind of keep the whole family in the circle on, hey, I'm helping pay mom's bill this month, or hey, I'm going to take care of mom's groceries this month, right? And so the whole family can kind of see who's doing what, and just stay connected through that whole conversation. Trulink is a great Visa card that lets you let that older person continue managing their own money, at least feeling like they're managing their own money, but you're able to, as their disease progresses, if they have dementia, as their disabilities progress, you can start turning off certain things that they can't do anymore. Maybe withdrawals at the ATM are blocked completely, or maybe they can withdraw up to $50 at a time from an ATM. Maybe they can't buy anything from merchants on the scam watch list, right? Maybe they can't buy anything on Amazon right now. You can set it so that they can continue to purchase things, but you're able to control what they can purchase, how much they can purchase, right? This can be a lifesaver for families with an elder who has a dementia like FTD, where they just cannot understand why they shouldn't buy 3 trucks, right? I have someone I know who did that, right? It's just some of these diseases make it so hard for a family to have anything left when they actually need help, because the elders spend all their resources away on the home shopping network or some other way. Elephant is interesting because, you know, some of the tools I just showed you, they're going to track what's actually spent. Well, how about preventing it from being spent in the first place? So we know that we get all kinds of scam calls coming in, but the elder doesn't know the difference, right? Hi, it's Judy. I'm your granddaughter. Yeah, I'm in Mexico, and we're on a mission trip. And they don't know that that's a scammer. They don't know that it's not Microsoft calling to ask them to get into their computer and then hence get into all of their passwords. Like, they don't know that. So what Elephant does is it lets any trusted contacts be able to get through to grandma. All the other contacts that call in, Elephant listens in on the conversation, and it calls you, their family member, or their power of attorney or their guardian, if it looks like this is a scammer, and you 3-way call in and you're able to make the determination, is this really Judy in Mexico on a mission trip, or is this a scammer? So it can help bring that third person in that elder's life, because this AI system is tracking those patterns of speech, et cetera, that scammers always use. Telecom is a physical device that allows you to do these things. It curbs repeated dialing. So an older person with memory loss, it would stop them from calling the same person over and over. It can set quiet hours, so this older person's not calling you at 2 a.m. in the morning when they don't need to. It protects from scammers and telemarketers. It can block everybody except for the people you want to call your mother. It can stop mom from calling known shopping channels. It can also redirect certain 911 notifications so that either family knows when they called 911, or if they call 911 a lot and they don't need to, it routes the call to a family member or a staff member before it gets to 911. So this can be a lifesaver for families while helping the elders still have the independence of being able to have their own phone and not have to take that away. Very reasonable pricing on telecom. I recommend a phone like this for someone with dementia, because then they can see who they're calling in one button press. They can just call them. You can either use a name or a photo. And I also recommend using tools like this if they have to use a smartphone, being sure they have access to something that feels more familiar, because a person with dementia might might have trouble using a cell phone, knowing where to put their ear, right? They may put it in all the wrong places. This is like $10 on Amazon. Now, maybe they are living at home and they're still cooking. Well, the Stop Kitchen Fires by Fire Avert, this plugs into the stove. They also have a gas version, and it will shut the whole thing down if it tells smoke or if it tells that there's an alarm. Let's look quickly at friendship. We're not going to have a whole lot of time to deal with this stage today, but basically there's a lot of tools that help elders stay connected with their friends and family and do things. But you want to divide these tools up based on their ability level. If someone can still use a TV remote, then something like Independa is great, because with a TV remote, they can watch TV, they can get messages from their family, they can have medication reminders, they can have kind of basically two-way voice calls right from their TV. Exceptionally helpful. I can only push one or two buttons on a screen. When something like Comp might be helpful, where it looks like a TV, but then a family member can just call in and they can press a button and say, yes, I want to take this call, right? Hey, it's my son calling. I'm going to just press OK, that they can talk to me. The family is able to tell exactly who can call this device and who cannot. Connect does the same thing. However, it also translates what they're saying into words so that the elder person can easily understand what the other person is saying, because they're not just having, just hearing, but they're actually reading what they're saying. I can answer a phone if I have that ability, but I don't have the other abilities. Maybe Family Jam is helpful. Family Jam calls the family members at just the right times when they're both available, using artificial intelligence to be able to know that son is available at 6 to 7 a.m. when he's driving, grandma's available at the last 15 minutes, and so I'm going to call both of them. Makes it easier for the family to stay connected, because so many of us, we forget to call our loved ones. We are so involved with texting today and sharing things on social media, we just don't call our family members. So this helps make that possible. We actually use this myself and my family, and I rolled it out across my entire company. And this is Familio. Basically, family members use an app to post pictures and messages, and it turns into a full color magazine every Monday morning. And it's an incredible tool. So the elder doesn't need to use any technology at all, but every Monday they get a brand new magazine that looks kind of like this. Big print, big pictures, shows who sent the message, and provides just a really great format that's keepable. I can refer back to it. I don't need someone to help me use technology to stay connected with my family in a really powerful way. It's extremely inexpensive. Highly recommend it. I can receive messages that play automatically. So these 3 devices I showed you earlier, maybe the older person can do nothing. They're lying in bed. They are in their last 3 months of life, and family members want to call and at least talk with them, pray over them, sing to them, read them a story. These tools, Connect, Sociavi, and the Comp, what they do is you can just call in and you can just pop right in and start talking to mom and check on her. In getting around, we'll look at that real quick. I want to see some of the stuff in the chat real quick. We'll have a quick second. Yes, so we have mother who's 89, lives with me, has restless nights, not in pain, but cannot sleep well. Started on some gummies that are helping. Also during the night, she moans and repeats, "Oh my God," in Spanish when I go to check on her. She says, "I just can't sleep." Tried a medical twin-size bed with rails, and she stayed up all night, uncomfortable, said it was too small. She sleeps in a queen-size bed, getting harder for her to get out of. Oh, wow. Okay. That is really challenging. Yes. And yes, these resources will be listed today. I'm going to be posting a PDF here in a second that will have links to everything that I'm talking about. Okay, great. All right, getting around. So let's look at some tools for, okay, I need to go places, right? So an elder person's living alone at home perhaps, or maybe you're living there, but you're working all day. They can't use the Lyft app. They can't use the Uber app. They can't use the Instacart app. They just call this number. They can at least call a phone number. They can call this phone number and say, "I need some groceries. Here's what I need. I need a ride to the bank. Here's what I need." GoGoGrandparent connects with all of the new services that are available and gets that older person exactly what they need. They can literally give their grocery list over the phone, say, "I need my medication picked up," whatever it is. GoGoGrandparent takes care of connecting with Instacart or any of these other tools like Lyft and DoorDash and gets them what they need. Super, super helpful. HopSkipDrive, I believe, is available in Texas, where I think a lot of you are. And this is a service, unlike Lyft and Uber, those folks don't take the loved one into the doctor's office. They don't walk them up to where they're going. The care drivers with HopSkipDrive, from what I understand, do that. But it's a little easier than some of the maybe some of the government services that you have to like call ahead, and it's a little more challenging. They have an app, makes it easy for you to schedule services, and these care drivers know they're working with an older person and they need to help them get to their destination. How do I figure out where they should live or how the living situation should be a little better? Well, Nesterly helps connect older folks with roommates. It's designed for older people. There's background checking of both parties. Everything is designed for the older person who's going to get taken advantage of if we don't put certain safety things in place. But it makes it easier for that older person to find another older person who wants to share their home, or a younger person who wants to share their home. Maybe they want a little bit of help around the house, like taking out the trash and just making sure that, you know, things are in order at the house. Nesterly and Silver Nest are both options that can make it easier to find a roommate that will work for an older person, and might also bring in enough money for them to pay that property tax that is causing them to think about, I might need to move, right? Also the Koelsch family, of course, putting together communities that are designed to help people who are older be able to live as well as possible throughout their last days. I don't know why I put that picture in here. We will move on. Okay, Silver Bills. Silver Bills helps an older person be able to pay their bills. Of course, we can hire a CPA. We can hire a bookkeeper. That can get expensive. Silver Bills is really cheap. It's like $10 to $99 a month, and makes it super easy for the older person in their family to take care of all their bills. Silver Bills takes care of making sure every bill is paid on time, and the family, whoever is helping manage things, can see what's been paid, what hasn't been paid, what do we need to do, what's going on, and they'll even compensate for errors, whereas a lot of the other services do not compensate. If they make an error, it's kind of still on you. Silver Bills will pay for any errors that they make, which I think is pretty incredible. Well cared for. Okay, I'm caring for an older person. They're not just living at home alone. Right, I'm taking care of them. How do I support myself in caring for them? So Carely is an app that helps keep the whole family, social workers, home care agencies, everybody on the same page, right? Keeps it all on the same page. Who's doing what? Who's taking them to the doctor's office? Hey, she has a doctor's appointment. I'm at work. I can't take them. Hey, what's going on with her medication, right? Keeps everybody in the loop. There's also a lot of cool new medication dispensing tools. These are tools that make it easier for family to leave for a week and know that mom's still getting her medication, right? Some of these will even do facial recognition to make sure it's the right family member getting the medication. It's not the boyfriend of the girlfriend who's coming over and trying to take mom's opioid pills, right, for her pain. It's keeping things safe, and it's tracking which times of day they actually took their pills. If they miss their pills, the family then knows, oh, they didn't take their pills at this time, or they're never taking their morning pills. It's able to kind of give some feedback versus the old-fashioned little pill case. You don't know if they're taking their pills or not. They can be throwing them out. You don't know in real time what's happening. You might have to wait a month to see when you come visit. And also, it doesn't remind them to take their pills, whereas these new tools do. Companies like Food Smart, a lot of interesting new companies coming out that are making it easier for elders to get ready-made meals, right? You know, instead of a big part of a lot of families' concern for their elders, making sure that they eat. And so it's bringing food over, it's making food, it's ordering food, all that kind of stuff. There's so many tools now like Healthrageous, Sunbasket, and others that you just order online, have it delivered, right? And it's not that expensive compared to all the time it takes to shop for all these things at the store. And some of these services even now integrate with health plans. And so sometimes even health plans will pay for a certain number of weeks after a hospital stay for healthy food. So highly recommend considering not running yourself ragged trying to provide food for an elder. Like that should be probably one of the least of your worries in 2022, 2023. You know, you have other things that are a little more important that we don't have technology to solve. Focus on that. Jelly drops helps a person who often gets dehydrated. You have a person in your life who gets dehydrated a lot. Jelly drops looks like candy, tastes fun, but provides a whole cup of water per tray. And so you're able to just kind of snack on these through the day and not get that UTI because you're getting enough water in your body versus, mom, you need to drink, mom, you need to drink, mom, you need to drink. Mom never drank anything but coffee her whole life. She's not going to change when she's 90. Okay, so jelly drops help solve that. Peel-aways are interesting. These are for those of us who either are living on our own and have those accidents in bed, but just aren't strong enough to change our bed every time we have an accident. Or maybe we're the caregiver and we're dealing with someone who has incontinence and there's just leaks and things. Oh, it's constantly a challenge. Peel-aways comes in five fitted sheets that are all layered together, waterproof, very soft, and you just peel off the top sheet, throw it away, peel off the next sheet next time something happens until you're down to the last sheet. Then you peel that off and put a new 5 layers over the bed. And it's designed specifically to make sure that bed is dry and clean so we don't have any hygienic issues, but also make it easier for the family, because then you can just rip that bottom sheet off and a new one's there automatically, and then you can just pull the top sheet back over and you're done. Of course, feeding pets, taking care of pet litter is another thing that's really can be challenging for families. If I'm working a professional career and I'm taking care of my mom, but she can't take care of her pet, but she doesn't want to let go of her pet, what do I do? Well, instead of me just destroying my life to go feed that dog or that cat, I can use tools like this from Chewy.com that automate feeding a pet, automate cat litter changing, right? Make it easy for the family. So once a week is enough versus every day or every other day, right? Pet Libra also offers, Wi-Fi enabled devices where you can see how much food they've got, when does it need to be changed, etc. So how can a family evaluate all the options that are out there? Well, like we talked about earlier, with like evaluating age tech tools for friendship, right? There were different levels, right? I can use a phone, but I can't use a TV. I can't use anything except for a piece of paper, right? You got to know where they're at to make a good decision. We talked about that already. Some other things to be thinking about is, the more they have dementia, like you look on the left side where it says significant dementia, and then you look at the bottom right, which is high experience. So the more someone has significant dementia and no experience with technology at all, the more you have to rely on low-tech tools like print or phone. The more experience someone had with technology, the more they're able to integrate other things. If they worked for Intel, until they were 60, they're probably going to be able to use tools that maybe someone who never worked with anything and they even don't have dementia still won't be able to use, right? So it's kind of a combination of cognitive ability and how much experience they've had with technology in their life as to which tools are best for them. Some other questions to ask yourself are, how often are helpers present in the home? Some tools that are out there, you need to change the batteries every week. You need to keep it plugged in. If the older person can't do that, then they need a helper present often enough to help keep the technology running. How tech savvy are the helpers? You work with a family that nobody knows how to get onto Wi-Fi, then you have to make sure you're using tools that don't require getting onto Wi-Fi, right? So how tech savvy are the helpers is a very important question when you're picking tech tools. How engaged and driven are family and friends? If the family or the friends or those involved in the care are really just a set it and forget it kind of family, then you have to pick tools that you can truly set it and forget it, right? You're not going to pick a tool that takes checking in once a month. I mean, even some of the fraud prevention tools. Take a family picking up their phone, looking at the app and saying, oh, looks like there's fraud. If a family is not engaged enough to do that, then as a professional, you don't recommend that tool. Where will the interaction take place? If you're putting a tool together, for instance, talking with family members, right? A tool to talk with family members or a medication tool, we got to think about where are they going to take that medication? Where will they talk to the family? If there's someone who literally sits in their chair all day because of their back pain and their disabilities, putting the tool in the bedroom is a bad idea, right? Put it on a desk next to their chair. Otherwise, it's not going to be used. And how foolproof does it need to be? Is it a situation where there's a lot of danger? Then it needs to be a more foolproof tool. If it's a tool that loses its battery or disconnects or sometimes gives the alert, don't use it if it's a situation that's really dangerous, right? So those are some of the questions to ask when evaluating some of these tools. I think I only have 1 minute left, so I think I'm gonna skip ahead and just basically say, the main thing I think to take away from this is how important it is to know what tools are out there and to ask good questions. You don't just buy all the tools you find. You gotta really ask good questions as you're picking out the right tools for your level. But there's so many out there that it's a shame to not look.